I noticed that the motion of this one is very different than most of the others. Were you conscious of that when you conjured it up? Was this an intentional?
Yeah, that one is more based on line, and I was interested in the idea of how line can create shape. And the other ones, I was more interested in the shapes and patterns. And when I was focusing on the line ones, I did a couple that were, I was interested in the idea of looking at like Jackson Pollock and how he would take a movement to the line and how his paintings were based on his experience with dripping the paint, and it was all about how he would move his arms and his whole body to create the composition. So I was trying to see and was interested in seeing how the line being cut in that same way did it have an effect on the way it was going to sit on the paper, and whether you could see line or shape, or if you could see both at the same time, and then adding the light to create a whole other dimension to it.
Does the delicate nature of the process affect you in your process? Like, do you feel like you get so far, then you gotta like stop because you're worried?
I just keep going, and I guess you can call them like, sometimes there's happy accidents where depending on if the blade cuts or if it slips, you just like have to re-engage how the piece is going to be, like re-cut or add more to that shape, or like I just rework the composition because I just let the materials almost in the piece create itself. So even though like I have a plan, sometimes that's how it's going to look. Sometimes it's constantly changing over and over again because it doesn't look right or it doesn't feel right, and just keep working it over and over again. Even if it overcut and falls apart, then I just move on to the next piece.
Was there like before this body of work, what led to it? Like, was there a moment when you realized like I'm going to cut the paper to draw instead of drawing with a pencil?
What I first started with was with the drawings, the Mylar drawings and the circles, and I took actually a class with Stanley and was doing some wood cuts, and I was playing around with that first and doing some line drawings and kind of like dripping paint and just kind of seeing like the movement and motion, and decided to go back after thinking about line to those drawings and thinking about what inspired those, and went back to my images and everything that I had collections of, and a lot of it was based on the movement of water and its fluidity, and how based on how it was crashing into like rocks and stuff like that, and the patterns it would create, or like the bark of a tree or paint chippings, and looking at those and how it would like climb up a wall or come down, and using those as inspiration to create the compositions that I have. And the cut paper just kind of, I guess, happened because I've always been interested in the idea of paper as a medium instead of as something to draw on. So I wanted to figure out how I can use paper as something more than just a surface, and seeing what could happen by doing that.